Good evening, guys. Happy Saturday to all of your sunshiny faces. Well, guys, it was a hot one today. It was 85 as a high today. That is hot. And we did not have the air conditioning going. We just had the windows open, and we tried to do what we did yesterday, because I told you guys how on Thursday it was kind of hot. It was like 70 something, and it was really humid out, so it was just really gross on Thursday. It felt better yesterday, like it felt cooler yesterday, just because there wasn't like the humidity. But then today, it was 83 degrees at one point outside the house, and it was 83 degrees inside the house at the same time. So I texted my parents, because you know they're on vacation right now, and was like, I'm turning the air on. Not that they said like, oh, don't turn the air on while we're not there, but like we just haven't turned the air on yet so far this year. And because they're not here again too, like normally like we all kind of decide, it seems like as a group, we're like, you know what, it's gonna be hot, we should turn the air on this week or whatever. The thing is that I think by like Tuesday or something like that, it's supposed to rain and then be cold, like 60s, like low 60s, I think, by like Tuesday. So in my mind, I'm going like, well, if we don't need to use the air conditioning consistently, then like we still shouldn't turn it on, kind of like to turn it on, to turn it back off, to turn it on, to turn it back off again, and like just going back and forth, just, you know, like, I don't know, seems weird to me. Or again too, if there's a day where it's like 60 degrees, it's like, well, you could turn the air conditioning off and just open the windows that day. But it's like once we have the air conditioning on, we don't like turn it off and then open up the windows. Like we'll just have the air conditioning turned on. Normally it's a whole process to have to like go through and now open all the windows again and everything like that. Whereas like, you know, if it's been a couple days, we've had the windows open. Whereas we're not going to go turn the, you know, air off and then have to go and open all the windows again and like everything like that. It's just, it turns into a whole process. And then to like go back and forth and do it like, you know, oh, this day it's really hot, but then this day it's cold, and then this day it's hot again. Like to just keep going back and forth and doing it, it's just, you know, like I said, very tedious. So it's like, if we're gonna turn the air on, it's staying on. So like in my mind, I'm like, well, it's supposed to be cold though next week, like, you know, at least somewhat colder. I was like, it doesn't make sense to turn the air on. But today, me and Jack were literally laying in the living room. I had on shorts and a tank top, and we were just like, I was laying on the couch, Jack was laying on the other couch, and like I was like, I'm sweating, like actually like almost started dripping sweat, and because of how hot it was. And I was just laying there. I was not under blankets, I wasn't like anything, like I wasn't laying in the sun too. Like all of the like curtains have been like closed to try and like keep the sun out and everything, but it was not helpful at all. So I texted my parents and was like, we're turning the air on because it's 83 degrees inside the house. And like again too, yesterday was actually somewhat nice because we were able to get like kind of a nice cross breeze kind of going, because we had like the back door open, like the slider, with like the screen open, so that we could like let the air in, you know. So like it was a kind of a cool, like, you know, somewhat cooler in the rest of the house, and like it was comfortable yesterday. Today was like unbearable. I was like, I can't do it. I cannot. It's 83 degrees, and like, and there was no like escaping it. Honestly, I feel like too, if there's ever a point where you go, it would be cooler if I was actually outside than inside, I think that's when the air conditioning has to be turned on. So we like I said, we turned it on just because I'm pretty sure again too, like at that point when we were like laying in the living room, and if we would have went outside, it probably would have felt cooler and like nicer to have been outside than laying in the living room in the heat inside of the house. So because like there wasn't as much of a breeze today, but I still feel like the little breeze that there was probably would have been nicer outside, because you couldn't tell from like inside the house. So yeah, and it's also bad too when you notice the dogs starting to react to the heat too. Like at one point they all just went in the like on the floor, and we're just all laying on the floor like on the tile because of how hot it was, and like the tile was hot hot too. So like it wasn't even like it was like cool, like the floors were cool. The floors were like so hot, and I was like, this is just kind of ridiculous. Like when the dogs also too start having a negative reaction to the heat, like I said, that's when it's time to turn the air on. So we'll probably have to turn it off though, like I said, like next week at some point, because it's gonna be hot on like Tuesday or whatever. But I think today and tomorrow as well, it's supposed to be really hot, and even maybe Monday. So we'll get a couple days where we're gonna have the air on. But it's really weird though, because Jack, like, I again too made sure, because we haven't used the air conditioner yet and we have a cover for it, so I made sure that Jack took the cover off the air conditioner, and so he put it in the garage. But it's right outside my window, and it makes noise when it's on. Like, it's kind of loud, and it sounds really weird when it's on, because like I know there's nothing like on it or in it or anything like that, because like I said, we had the cover on. But thankfully again too, I remembered, wasn't like, let's just turn the air on because it's too hot, and then forget that we had the cover on, and you know, that wouldn't be good. So yeah, Jack took that off, and then the air has been working fine, which is also very good. We don't even have it that cool. Like, it's only, I think, again too, compared to the 83 that it was in the house, I think we have it at like 75. So again too, it's not even like it's that cold in the house, but it's just a much needed relief from what the, you know, like I was saying, the 83 degrees that it was. So, and the furnace was running for a while to try and get the house cool, because it was, or not the furnace, but the air conditioner was running for a while trying to get the house just a handful of degrees cooler than it was. And so it's very comfortable right now. It's not like freezing cold, but it's not really like, you know, it's not as hot as it was earlier. The other thing too though, we keep the house a lot colder than that in the summer though, when it is like 90 degrees outside or whatever, only because normally in the summer the humidity is really bad. Whereas like if we had the air conditioning going and we only had it set to 75, like on Thursday when it was really humid, it would feel just as bad. Like I said, Thursday felt worse than yesterday, and it was hotter yesterday than it was on Thursday, but what felt worse was the humidity. And that's why we keep it cooler in the summer though. Like we'll have it down to like, you know, like lower 70s at least, because the humidity, you can still feel the humidity at that like 70 degree temperature, and it still just feels really gross like when the humidity gets really bad. But anyways, like I said, we got you know, that's all, I guess, taken care of today, and the air conditioning going for the first time. It was just weird too, because like after you haven't had it run like, you know, at all since like last summer, you know, normally you kind of just like check to make sure like everything's working and, you know, stuff like that. And because my parents weren't here, I was like, that's like, me and Jack gotta make sure that everything's running okay. And, you know, obviously the temperature is dropping, we have to remember to take the air conditioner cover off, and, you know, like all those kind of things. And so you know, like there's just added things to think about when it's not just like, oh, just turn it on, you know. It's like the first time this year that we haven't used it since last year, and now we, like I said, you know, have all this other stuff that we have to think about. And my parents aren't here to kind of, you know, like again too, my dad handles and pays attention to all that kind of stuff. I told you guys how my dad is very attentive to the like the furnace and like the AC, because last year it was like a few days, I think before Christmas or whatever it was, that the furnace went out. And my dad's like, I hear it kicking on, and then it just turns back off and it's not blowing heat anymore. And like the temperature in the house was like the same. Weren't like, why is it like 30 degrees in here in the middle of winter? Like, you know, that would tip you off that like the furnace isn't working, right? It was literally like probably maybe 10 minutes into like it not working that my dad was like, something does not sound right in this house. And he immediately goes to the furnace and he starts looking at it. He's like, something's not right. It's making this weird noise. And like, it wasn't making a weird noise, but like it would click on, it would turn on. And then there was a problem with like the sensor in there. And I think I told you guys how Matthew's friend works in like heating and cooling. He was able to walk my dad through on like FaceTime on like how to fix it and everything. So it was amazing because we didn't have to pay somebody to come out and fix it like an emergency kind of thing or anything anything like that. There was like some sensor that needed to be cleaned on it. So he was able to do that, which was awesome. But my dad, like I said, like 10 minutes into, you know, this happening, it wasn't even enough for like the house to get down like 1 degree yet before my dad notices this. So like I said, if there's like anything that, like, you know, my dad handles the heating and cooling in the house, like, you know, but that's why I was like, it feels weird to like be like trying to figure out like, how do I get it? I mean, like, I know how the thermostat works and I adjust the temperature, you know, frequently, but it's not my area of expertise, I guess, to like be messing with it and being like, okay, like, you know, again too, we need to do this or we need to do that. Like, I just know, okay, turn it to cool, set the temperature, and watch it, the degrees as they go down from 83 down to the nice 75 that it is now, which still seems kind of hot, but it's so much cooler and it's so much nicer and it feels a lot better in the house. Like I said, it's not like freezing cold, but I have put a long sleeve on because I was like, I'm comfortable actually. The problem is that like when the AC is blowing on me, like when I was sitting in the living room, the vent was like facing me, so I was freezing cold. And it's not even blowing like freezing cold air, it's just the fact that it's blowing air at all at me and I'm cold. Like, it could also be 83 degrees and I could be sitting in front of a fan. I could need to put on like a lightweight long sleeve shirt or something like that because I'll be cold. Like, if there's fanned wind blowing on me, which is why too it wasn't that bad like last night because I had my fan on in my room, so it was cooler. But yeah, so anyways, like I said, we got that done. We also like took care of, I did a couple loads of laundry today and I did dishes. I edited a little bit today too. Like, I got to some stuff today, which is weird because I don't normally do it on Saturdays, but because my parents are gone on vacation right now, it doesn't feel like a Saturday to me. But I should have a jewel haul for you guys tomorrow, but I didn't have one for you guys today because they're not here. Everything here has been going okay, and my parents are coming home tomorrow. I told you guys I wasn't sure if they were coming home on Saturday night or Sunday. Like, I always kind of knew in the back of my mind they were coming home on Sunday, but then my mom started saying, oh, well, we'll be back like Saturday night or something like that, and I was like, I don't think you guys are going to be back on Saturday night. And then she's like, no, we'll be back on Saturday night. Like, she kept being very convinced that she was, and like, to me, I was like, I don't think you guys would have scheduled to have like left on Thursday and then been gone all day Friday and then come home on Saturday. I was like, why wouldn't you guys have planned on coming home on Sunday? Like, that makes more sense in my mind. And so, you know, but my dad has to work on Monday, so it makes more sense for him to not, you know, be gone all day on Sunday either. So, and I think he has to work on Monday. I don't think he took off like an extra day of work. Either way, I was still thinking like it makes more sense that they come home on Sunday. Like, when they were planning it, I think that they would have made it for them coming home on Sunday. But then again too, my mom kept saying this, making me think that they were actually coming home on Saturday. But no, they were coming home on Sunday, like I assumed. And my mom had, I don't know, the days mixed up or something like that. And the reason we didn't know that until today was because when my parents like FaceTimed me yesterday, and then like we've been texting back and forth and stuff like that, but every single time when it crosses my mind, it's like at night when I'm like, well, they're already going to be asleep, like they're not going to answer or whatever, you know, or something like that. Or I'm just like, oh, I think on Thursday when they left, I was like, oh, Jack, text them and ask them if they're coming home on Saturday or Sunday, because like again too, we didn't know at that time. And then Jack was like, oh, my phone's dead or something like that. So like then we kept forgetting to like text them and ask them. So we figured it out and we know what day they're coming home tomorrow. So I should have my haul for you guys in tomorrow's vlog, but I'm gonna take a shower and get to bed. I'll see you guys all in tomorrow's vlog. If you guys did enjoy today's, make sure you guys give a big old thumbs up. If you guys are new, we'd love it if you'd subscribe, and I'll see all of your sunshiny faces tomorrow. So bye guys.